So today is the start of an epic double heat pump install we're doing for a customer down in Essex, well out of our normal area of operation, but they needed someone who knew these units inside out, and we're the guys for the job, so we did a deal, and now we're heading on down there to get this job up and running. Welcome to our latest job. On this one we're doing two Vitocal 158 heat pumps, 16 kilowatts each. Big old house, about 18, 20 kilowatts heat loss on it, I can't quite remember. So two heat pumps there. Scotty Ninja. Good job. Getting the MLCPs in. Unistrut 54mm clips, and there's 32mm circs coming up from the back of the heat pump there, up the wall, across there. Through here, across there, through there, and up here into the plant room. You can't see it because it's pitch black, but it is there. So we've got the MLCPs in there. It's not a renewables job unless you've got Unistrut, rubber line clips and MLCP. This stuff's 32mm pre-lagged all the way up there. One set per heat pump. Up there. And into there. Plant room up there, so we're going to jump into the plant room. So day two on the heat pump install. We've got the cylinders in. Have you ever seen such a work of art? Bit of a tight squeeze trying to get everything in. You've got the manifold there. The pipes coming up there, and obviously because there's two hydraulic units, two cylinders, two buffers. Because you can't cascade the 150As, it's all a bit of a squish, but I think we figured it out and it should look pretty good once it's done. So how it's going to work: one hydraulic unit feeding that buffer, which feeds that manifold, and another manifold in the basement. That hydraulic unit feeds one of those cylinders again, and that feeds one of them, and that feeds that buffer, which feeds the underfloor heating up there. And yeah, we're getting there slowly. I'll do a quick explanation of the design of this system. We inherited this, all the plant, the layout and everything from the previous installer, who'd made a bit of a mess of it and got out of his depth. This is the way he planned to do it. Two 150A heat pumps into the hydraulic units, and then have both of them feeding into one buffer, basically cascading the two heat pumps. So they worked as one into one buffer, then off to the underfloor heating, with a pump on each manifold, of which there were 5 manifolds, 5 pumps, and a shed load of actuators, timers, etc, etc. So basically the underfloor heating would be running a fixed temperature, which isn't the way to do it. The most efficient way to do it is to supply the water to the underfloor heating manifolds that it needs. So if it needs 20, supply it with 20. If it needs 45, supply with 45. Don't constantly supply it with a fixed temperature. There's efficiencies to be gained that way. So the issue here is that the buffer was undersized, and the Viessmann 150As can't be cascaded together because the software in these two units and the hydraulic units isn't developed enough yet, so that they can feed into one buffer and not start to get confused and cycling and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Speaking to Viessmann Tech, the software update is coming soon, but it isn't available as of yet. If you want to cascade a Viessmann heat pump, you've got to use the 200, which is the older model, with a high global warming potential refrigerant in it, but it's got a more developed firmware in it, so you can do all kinds of different things with it. Whereas the 150As is the new kid on the block that isn't fully developed yet. It will be eventually. This is the flagship model, but the function-wise, the 200 is probably the slightly better unit at the moment. But that will change as these get over-the-air updates. So we inherited this potential setup. Obviously, there's a tapping off to a hot water cylinder on each one of these, and we changed it to this. We essentially split it into two systems. So we had one heat pump running one buffer and another heat pump running the other buffer, and we stripped the pumps off the manifolds, stripped the actuators and everything off the manifolds, apart from in the bedroom where they might want temperature limiting, and just stuck one pump off the buffer. I think this does 2 big manifolds and that does 4 manifolds. Wilo Pico 8-meter head pumps, really good pumps. They have an adjustment dial on them, so you can adjust the pump head from like 1 meter up to 8, and it gives you a flow meters cube per hour readout on them, which is really good for setting it all up. Yeah, so that's it. Heat pump feeds into there, that feeds into the buffer, and we have one pump feeding all the manifolds. So you cut the amount of pumps you need. So you would have needed, I think the original installer was going to put a pump on there to each manifold. So you have lots of pumps in series. So you would have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, about 8 pumps, and we've cut it down to 2. We needed to get another buffer, but it had to be done. So that's the way the system's set at the moment. It's going to run like that. 1 heat pump per buffer, that doing 2 floors, that doing 2 floors, each set on their own curve, and that should work good.